Hey guys, Matt Cronin here today to show you my workflow when it comes to editing photos. In this case, we're going to be editing headshots. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here to my SD card and we're going to pick the photo we're going to be editing, which is going to be, we'll pick this one. We're going to open it up. Oop, that's the JPEG. We want to open up the CR2 file, which is this one. So it's going to pull up in Photoshop, hopefully, if it loads. There it is. We're just going to do a little bit of basic editing to it. Just probably extend our fill light a little bit, add a little bit of clarity. We're not going to go too crazy here just because most of it we're going to do later, but when you open up your CR2, you just want just such things as like color balance and your white balance as well. Alright, that's a pretty good start. Let's open that up. That was one that I did previously that's finished, in case you're wondering. Alright, so first things we want to do is we want to edit his face before we do anything else. So we have Portrait Pro 12, which is a plugin for Photoshop, which we open that up with. This is where we're going to be able to actually retouch his face. Portrait Pro is a great program. It actually allows you to do quite a bit without having to manually do everything in Photoshop. It actually maps your subject's face, as you can see right here. So we have our before and our after image, which it's already kind of generated a preview, which I don't want to do. I want to do everything manually. It's got some cool features, including face sculpt, which we definitely don't want to change his face, but just to show you, you can literally change the shape of his face. But we're going to go over here to skin smoothing and just kind of smooth out his skin just a little bit without taking away the essence of his features. We can thin his wrinkles just a little bit. We can remove his pores and remove a little bit of shine on his face. And you can also adjust your skin texture as well. I don't really go too crazy with that. Alright, now this is a crucial tool here. Skin lighting. As you can see from the reflection in his eyes, I had a strobe a little bit off to the left of him, and we're going to accentuate that. So as you can see, I can actually adjust where the light is falling on his face, and I can even model it just a little bit just to get a little bit more of a pleasing tonality there. Now another cool thing we can do is we can actually fix the lighting on his face for more even tones, as you can see there. We can go down to here. We can adjust his cheekbones if we want, which we're not going to do. We're not going to do that. But it's got, you can adjust, your kick, which I don't find is very realistic in this program, and just add a little bit of depth there. Alright, then we're going to go to eye controls. This is pretty important. You can clean your eyes up, do all that good stuff, which I don't think looks too natural, but you can just a little bit. But sharpening the eyes is an important part of this program, as well as you can brighten the iris, which again, you don't want to go too crazy or else it won't look very natural. That's pretty good there. Then you go to your mouth and nose controls. You can sharpen his mouth a little bit. You can even moisten his lips, which basically just accents the highlights, which we're not going to do. Again, if this was a glamour model or something, this would be a little bit more applicable. You got your hair controls. You can adjust the vibrance of his hair, which he's got kind of gray hair there, so we're not going to go too crazy with that. And then you got your skin coloring, which you can correct the color temperature on his skin, which honestly I think the hue of his skin is fine there, but what we can do is just adjust it just a little bit, and we can go back in Photoshop and do a little bit more there. You can also adjust the exposure if you want to make it brighter or a little bit darker. Right there is probably good. You can even give them a tan too. Let's see, we got your picture controls as well. You can adjust your exposure overall, which I think the exposure there is fine. Tone curves, you can do that as well. And your temperature if you want it to be a little bit warmer, which I think in this case we will. If we zoom out, you can see already quite a bit of a difference. And another reason the temperature is nice is because it actually adds more color to some of the spots where the light kind of gets rid of the color. So warming it up just a little bit makes his whole face kind of a nice pleasing hue there. And you can do further things with the touch-up brushes. For example, he's got this little mole right here, so we can go in there and you can adjust your brush size and strength, and we can just get rid of that a little bit. Same with that. I don't think he really has any other blemishes that really need attention. That looks fine. Alright, so basically we click up here, return to your plugin. It brings it back into Photoshop, and voila, our changes have been saved. Already that's looking pretty darn good. Now, here's one of the signature things that I like to do for my portraits, especially if I'm shooting against a blank wall. The strobe is casting, of course, kind of a shadow there. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually digitally remove the background. Actually, first, let's crop and straighten this real quick. So we're going to crop that about right there, kind of where his eye line is. And we're going to save the cropped area there. There we go. Alright, now we're going to remove the background. So we're going to go up here and we're just going to select all of him. Let me make a bigger brush here. We're going to select all of him. And the brush selector is pretty nice because it will automatically detect everything. There we go. Alright, that's looking pretty good. You can go up here and refine your edge more so it looks a little more natural. It'll show you, if we zoom in here, hold on, zoom in real quick, especially on his face because you don't want to lose parts of his hair or his ears. Alright, let's go back to the brush selector tool. We can refine our edge. It's going to show us what our edge is going to look like here. I usually use Smart Radius because it actually intelligently detects where the edges are, and then you can smooth it out further and feather it out a little bit. Of course, you still want it to be relatively sharp. There we go. Good. Now we're going to go up here. We're going to create a new layer. Layer via cut. So we're going to completely cut him out. And now we're going to delete the background here. So it's just a completely blank background. Then we're going to zoom out. So you can see now he is backgroundless. So we're going to add our background back in. I usually go with kind of a neutral gray, especially for headshots. First we got to go up here, create a new layer, and we can make sure you move your subject above that layer. And then, oh, that's not good. Oh, I forgot. I added that fill to the wrong layer. So you make sure you add your fill to this new layer that you created so that it looks like that. Now that's pretty good. You can kind of see a little bit of the edge there from when we cut him out. So if you need to, you can go back and refine that a little bit more. But I think with what I'm about to do next, you kind of won't really notice that. As you can see, it's kind of a plain, just a plain fill. It doesn't look very appealing. So we're going to add a little bit of depth to it. So we're going to go up here to our filters. We're going to go to Render, Lighting Effects, and we're going to create an omni-directional light behind his head, just to add kind of a little bit of a gradient. And we're just going to adjust this a little bit. First, let's see what that looks like. Bam! Already that looks awesome. So you can see, kind of adds a little bit of depth, kind of pulls him back from the background. And that's the bare essence of how I do my headshots. And of course, you can go more into this, you know, and adjust color curves and whatnot if you want. You can also, you know, do some hue adjustment, especially to his face. Go to his reds, you know, kind of desaturate the reds a little bit, and maybe brighten them up just a tad. You can also do some dodging and burning if you want to adjust a little bit more, make a little bit more contrast to the image. But in essence, that's how I go about my workflow for headshots.